Hi everyone, Mr. Rast here. I'm a biology and chemistry teacher when I work for the Department of Defense Education Activity. That's DoDEA. I'm American working overseas in Germany. And I've created a coronavirus log that I used to share with my colleagues and students as this pandemic has grown. But school's been closed for about a week now, so I've had some requests to just see what the data looks like recently. And so I thought I'd make this video and share how things have been going for the last week with the people and for other people to get kind of caught up on what's going on. But I'll give you a little background on everything. I wasn't really thinking too much about this coronavirus until February 28th. We had an email sent to the staff talking about what kind of plan we would make to if we had to teach at home. And I thought that rather odd because I've seen, the swine flu, the avian flu, MERS, SARS. I even remember the HIV when that came out, and it never really affected me personally. It was always somewhere else, someone else's kind of problems. And when the idea was to what will we do if we close our school came about, I started doing some looking into this. So it started on February 28th, and I looked around on, like why would we close schools in Germany? And I started doing a little bit of research over the weekend, but just for my own kind of common knowledge kind of a situation. And I'll show you some of the things that I had found. First of all, some important facts about this. This screenshot was taken on March 6th of 2020. This is from the CDC, but this website, even though it was taken on March 6th, was last updated on February 28th, which is actually the day when I was told to think about how we would teach class at home. And on February 28th, China, Iran, Italy, and South Korea were all considered level 3 threats, so non-essential travel by the CDC. Japan was level 2. Anyways, this was updated on the 28th. These not necessarily were level 3 on starting the 28th. This is a screenshot of what it was on the 28th. On the 25th, so I got the email that we would be what would we do if Germany had to close schools. I already knew some schools were closed. I knew that some schools in Asia were closed, which was our South Korean schools, and Europe in particular, northern Italy was closed. Middle East, that was Bahrain. So we knew that there were 15 closed schools. According to the Military Times on February 25th, we had already had 15 DoDEA schools closed. So to put it into context, I did a little bit of research to see how the conditions were in South Korea and Italy. And I go back to as far as February 20th on both of them. In South Korea, you can see how many infections they had in this column here. And then I figured out, I just did a quick calculation of the total cases per 1 million population. So on the 25th, Military Times reports that South Korea and Italy schools were closed. South Korea had 977 cases in South Korea, which density-wise, that would be 19 people per 1 million in their population. At that point, they closed the schools in South Korea. Italy, on the other hand, closed at 320 with a population density of only 5.3. However, they didn't close all the schools in Italy. They only closed the northern schools where it was much more concentrated. So this number is a little misleading because it was denser, probably definitely where the schools were closed. But this next number is rather important. On the 28th, when I saw that South Korea was a level 3 threat, they had 2,000, look how fast that grew, 2,377 cases with a 45.4 density. So 45.4 people per 1 million in Korea had been infected with the coronavirus. And Italy was considered level 3 when they were at 14.7 people per 1 million. That's all of Italy, not just northern Italy. All of Italy was considered level 3 by the CDC with 14.7. On March 4th, Business Insider, this is where I got this, but a lot of sources, Italy closed all of their schools, universities nationwide. So all of their Italian schools, not just the DoDEA or Department of Defense Education Activity schools, were all closed nationwide, and that was March 4th. By March 4th, they had a density of coronavirus of 51.1 people per million with 3,000 cases. So these are important numbers, in my opinion, to kind of understand what's going on. And I have people have asked me what my opinion is. Now, I'm not a representative of DoDEA, and I'm not privileged to the conversations people have making these decisions. But I'm just looking at statistics and what I would. And a lot of people don't have the statistics when they're asking these questions. So, anyways, I started taking screenshots on the Tuesday, which was March 3rd. This is when I started taking the screenshots because I looked at these things over the weekend, and I look at these maps and things, and I'm like, that looks different in one day, which is amazing to think that this could spread so quick. So on March 3rd, I took a picture because I was certain it didn't look the same as it did over the weekend or on Monday. So we're going to go through real quick and take a look at some screenshots I took of Germany and our concentration starting at March 3rd. And by the way, I work at where this little red dot is right here. This is Kaiserslautern. We had one case of the coronavirus in Kaiserslautern as of March 3rd, and that's why we have that one little red dot here. And so this here is my the province that I'm kind of focused on. This is Rhineland. So this would be Tuesday, and you can see here Wednesday. You can see a change in the northern Germany. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So this is 1 week, a massive difference in the spread of this virus throughout Germany. You can see the density changing over here in the area of effect over on the left side here. So that was 1 week, Tuesday, March 10th. Wednesday, March 11th, we growing, and Thursday. And then an important date here is Friday, March 13th. On March 13th, DoDEA decided to close the schools in Germany, Belgium, Netherlands. I'm sure I'm forgetting one of you important people. Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. Basically all of our schools in Europe. Spain, along with, of course, Italy already. This is when we closed. In Germany in particular, with the day they closed, from my screenshots of information, I saw that Germany had 3,064 active cases with a density in Germany of 37.2 cases per 1 million. Now, if you, so per 1 million, and as we keep going, another week goes by. So that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This would be the first day we didn't have school, with the school being closed. And we keep growing here. And then on the 19th is the last time Wikipedia offered this map in this fashion. What they changed on the 20th, they did a density. So the colors, the darker the colors, the more dense in these cities. And these are, by the way, the states of Germany. And a problem here with my data collection is that the density here, you can see, like, if it's the lighter color, it's less than 13.8 people per million. But what the problem here is, the next day the scale changes. So the colors on the left one are not really helpful to look compared to each other. So I'm kind of at this point looking at the right side of the density of the whole country, because like you can see here, this is 18, and then the next one actually looks like it's still 18, but it just keeps changing. So I stopped blowing up that one with this here, but it does kind of give you an idea of where things are concentrated. But anyways, here's Rhineland. It is very, very, it's the darkest color here, which means we have between 1,000 and 9,999 cases. So we're pretty dense over here. And we keep going, and here we go to today, March 27th is the last time I took a screenshot of it. All right. Next thing I did is on March 3rd, I was taking screenshots from worldometers, And on the 3rd, this was the Tuesday after I got that email, we had 39,000 active cases, 9,000 total, or 90,000 total cases, and about 3,000 deaths worldwide. And one of the things I talked about with my students in analyzing statistics and data was what was interesting is what we did is we looked at the active cases. So, right, you see on the March 3rd, we had 39,000 active cases worldwide, and we still have about 39,000 on this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, drops down, and then Friday. So as we looked at it, some of my students, real proud of for catching this before I had to tell them, they noticed that, well, yeah, I can see on the left, that the cases, so from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that yeah, the cases are going up, but what was nice is cases had been closing as it goes up, and the active cases have been staying relatively the same. So that was a rather hopeful thing for us to kind of acknowledge as we started collecting this data. And now the weekend comes and we have a big jump in active cases. We finally break that 39,000 and jump right up to 40. So that's Saturday, Sunday, and then we go back to Monday. And if you can see here, the active cases, that starts to change. It keeps going up and up and up. And the 13th, this is the day when we were told there's going to be no more school, right? That was the 13th. Yeah. This was the day they said we're going to close the schools in DoDEA. And then we just keeps growing and growing. The active cases just exploding. And I'll make another video talking about the statistics, the closed cases and the death rates and stuff like that. I'll explain those numbers in greater detail. Make another video later, another day or something like that. So anyways, as of today, we have 405,000 active cases, a gigantic increase since school closed way back on the 13th. We had 62,000 active cases, and now today it is skyrocketed to 405,000 active cases. All right, so I'm focusing this video mostly on Germany and the DoDEA schools, but in Germany, but the reason I think this is still important, no matter where you are in the world, is we followed statistically the trend of the growth in Germany was just like what we saw in Italy, which is what we saw in China, which is what we saw in South Korea. The growth went the same as it started from small amount, and as it just exponentially grew in all these countries is what I was telling my students and colleagues is if we're not doing anything different than these countries, we could expect to be in their shoes in a week or 2 or 3, however far you want to look back at when their numbers, their concentrations were what we are. Because we really didn't do anything. In fact, we were a bit slower to close our schools than some of the other ones, which I'll show you right here. So again, on the 3rd is when I started taking screenshots. So I took old data and I made this table here. So on March 24th, we only had 16 people in Germany with the coronavirus, with a 0.2 people per million infected. On the 3rd is when I started taking the screenshots, and I did that calculation over here on how many cases per 1 million. We had 2 cases per 1 million in Germany and 165 people infected on March 3rd. And then the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and by the way, Diamond Princess was a cruise line. It was a boat that came from China to Japan. And so it had much more than most of the countries back in early March. And we're going to go to 1 week here. In 1 week, we're at 1,224 cases and a density of 14.4 people per million in Germany. And this keeps growing until we get to this important date. The 3rd is when a DoDEA announced they were going to close their European schools. And again, this was when we had 3,064 active cases in Germany on this date, which is right here, active cases. I'm not talking about closed ones, I'm talking about active people walking around with it. And we had, with a density of 37.2 corona cases per 1 million. If you compare that to when the other schools were closed, we closed at 37.2. South Korea closed their schools by 19. 14, and Italy closed their schools by 5.3. So we in the rest of Europe, especially Germany, because you can see we're rather high on here in Spain as well. We're very slow acting as trying to quarantine and stop the spread of the coronavirus in Germany. So that was the 13th. So let's just keep going. The 14th, we have 3,000. And remember when we started this, I think we were at, let's just go back here real quick to the 3rd. We have 165 cases by the 3rd, and we are already kind of thinking, what are we going to do if we have to close the school? But we waited until we were over 3,000. So let's take a look here. We have a density of 47.2, and that just keeps growing. Oh, what's kind of interesting here, I think it was, you can see, I was doing the calculation here of total cases per 1 million at 8.3. This worldometers I was taking screenshots from actually added that column, so I didn't have to do the calculations anymore. So let's just keep going here. So we're at 47.2. So this is when we close the schools on Friday. So let's just go another week. That would be the 20th. I think I forgot to take a picture that day. Anyways, the 21st, we're now at 22,084. And I remember we ended up closing sports. We closed our sports. We weren't going to be traveling. And a lot of the soccer players were asking, do you think that we'll, after the 2 weeks of closed sports, we'll start again? And we looked at other countries, and I said, you know, if we follow the same pattern of growth that the other countries did, by the time we would be doing sports again, which would be about the 21st was when the ban on sports was, I said we should probably be between 15,000 and 20,000 cases in Germany, which will be way worse than we implemented it. So I just, unless we do something different that the other countries are doing, I don't see any possibility that the sports would be going. Sports would continue again, and we didn't do anything different, and you know we just followed in the same footsteps. Anyways, so this is 21,000. Keep going, and today is a rather sad day, in my opinion, for the United States. If you notice, the United States, let's just go back to when I started taking these screenshots. The United States was way down here at 103 people in the United States on March 3rd. And if we go to March 26th, yesterday, the United States had the 3rd most cases in the world, and today marks the day where the United States has the most cases in the world. So it's a pretty monumental day as far as that's concerned in the history of the coronavirus. Anyways, I've got a lot more screen stats and things that are screenshots and stats to talk about. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up, make a comment or something like that, and I'll continue making videos like this. I hope you guys stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.